Today I'll be going over Chapter 14 of Alanna Nash's book, The Colonel. Chapter 14 is titled, Mistakes Someone May Have Made. By late 1960, while Parker was securing Elvis's long-term movie deals, he became increasingly anxious after receiving troubling letters from Holland that threatened to expose secrets from his past. In the spring of 1960, Dutch housewife Nell Dankers van Kalk was at a hairdresser in Eindhoven when she saw a photo of Elvis Presley in the Belgian magazine Rosita. The image of Elvis returning from the army immediately caught her attention. Nash writes, quote, "But it was the big man standing behind him who caught her eye. He looked so much like her younger brother Jan. Then she saw his name, Tom Parker. Wasn't that the same name scrawled at the bottom of those strange letters from the States some 30 years before?" End quote. She called her brother Ad, who compared Parker's face with old family photos, and he became convinced that Tom Parker was their long-lost brother. Ad said, "It seemed like a fairy tale." Other members in Parker's family in Holland also recognized the resemblance and believed he was their missing brother. Over the years, they had occasionally received postcards and even a small American flag from him, a little testament to their brother's loyalty. When they began writing to Parker, mostly in Dutch, he responded only with Elvis memorabilia. 19-year-old Ad Jr. wrote Parker in English, acknowledging that he might not want contact after so many years, but asking for one thing: confirmation of whether the family had finally found their long-lost brother. "Are you really my uncle?" In a letter dated January 31st, 1961, Parker wrote back, and the envelope was addressed to Master Ad van Kalk Jr. He typed the letter himself on plain paper, and it was one of the most revealing yet mysterious documents of Parker's life. It was complete with his distinctive spelling and syntax, such as someone, some-1, that he had written to Hal Wallace. But Parker wrote cautiously in the third person as if a secretary were speaking for him. He repeatedly told his Dutch relatives, almost in a paranoid tone, to stop writing until Mr. Parker contacted them because the letters were getting mixed in with fan mail. The letter also stated, "I am sure you will agree that this matter, if it involves Mr. Parker, must be handled very carefully and privately." On why Parker had not reached out to the family? Quote, "Mr. Parker has felt the same longing and hopes as all of you, but must have had a very good reason and many problems so not to bring them to any of his people at any time." End quote. Then he cryptically referred to friends who might assist them in the future. Quote, "We will try to help in some way to at least make up for any mistakes someone," again, some-1, "may have made without meaning to do so." End quote. Then Parker abruptly switched from writing about himself as Mr. Parker to speaking in the first person. "Remember me to all of them," hinting at unresolved secrets from his past. Most tellingly, he signed the letter Andre, his family name. Ad Jr. was thrilled Parker had replied, but confused by the vague wording. Parker's reference to mistakes someone may have made without meaning to do so mystified the young man. Nash writes, quote, "The letter, sent by air and marked special delivery, useless in Holland but still communicating a red code of urgency, arrived in Breda on February 4th, 1961. 16 days later, in a surprise turnabout, Ad Sr. was invited to visit his brother in America. The trip, which Parker paid for, was arranged through a Dutch husband and wife with a similar surname, Van Kalk, spelled Kuijck, living in Hackensack, New Jersey." End quote. On April 9th, Ad Sr. flew to New York and stayed with the Van Kalks for 11 days until Parker flew back to Los Angeles from location filming for Blue Hawaii. Parker initially feared he was being blackmailed by crooks from Europe and asked if Ad wanted money. After Ad said no, Parker studied him and finally admitted, "Yes, you are my brother." Parker spent a week with Ad Sr. in Los Angeles, housing him, arranging sightseeing, and introducing him to some colleagues as a business associate. But he remained emotionally distant and showed little emotion to news about his siblings. Ad Sr. wanted photographs with Parker to take back to the family, but Parker refused to pose with him. Marie agreed to photos, but Parker appeared worried that any photographic proof of their relationship could later be used against him. Nash writes, quote, "Yet it was important that the family understand just how successful he had become. Before Ad went home, Parker did the unthinkable. He took him to Elvis's rented home on Perugia Way and introduced him as his brother." End quote. Elvis was watching television with some of the entourage and got up and shook Ad's hand, but showed little curiosity. According to Ad Jr., Elvis did not seem impressed, and Lamar Fike believed Elvis never fully understood that Ad was actually Parker's brother. Lamar said, "If Elvis had known, he would have said it. He couldn't keep a secret." When Ad Sr. returned to Holland, the family wanted answers, but he had learned very little about Parker's disappearance. Parker only shared a few old carnival stories, and Ad felt he shouldn't ask too many personal questions. He did, however, meet Elvis Presley, the superstar his brother had helped create. After returning to Holland, Ad Sr. wrote about his experience for Rosita. In 1967, he was interviewed by Dineke Dekkers for the Dutch Elvis fan magazine, It's Elvis Time. He died of emphysema in 1992, having never fully explained his reunion with Parker to the family. Ad Jr., a language teacher residing in Oostburg, says, "The family connections in Holland were not close at all. To me and my mother, he told a little more." That's all Ad Jr. will say. That's it for Chapter 14. Stay tuned for Chapter 15, which is titled Trouble in the Kingdom. The Colonel Tightens His Grip. See you then.